At this time, I would like to turn today's program over to Darren Cunningham. Darren, maybe begin.
Hello, welcome to today's webinar. I'm very excited to be here to talk about a very big release for the Informatica Cloud team and the Informatica Cloud product line. Before I do that, I want to just let you know there is a poll question here just so we get a sense of who's on the call today if you're listening and watching us live. So go ahead and fill that out, and we'll just look at the results right now. So the agenda I have today, I'm here with Ram Munassan, who runs product management for Informatica Cloud. I also have in the room with me Natarajan and Naresh Govindaraj, who are also on the product management team. So we've got the gurus in the room. I do want to encourage you to use the chat panels as we go through this if you have some technical questions, especially get to the demo that Ron will be doing. So let's look at the results of our poll and just get a sense of who we have today as we go through the agenda. So I'm going to give you a quick update on Informatica Cloud, and we'll go through pretty quickly the details of our release, and then Ron is going to dive into two pretty comprehensive demonstrations, one of cloud integration templates and one of our connector and the connect toolkits, and we'll talk about what that means for customers and partners for Informatica Cloud. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm trying to see some poll results there, operator. If we can show those, that would be great. In the meantime, I'm just going to continue. So look about the market. I'm sure I don't have to remind many of you are very early adopters of all things cloud and have been with the Informatica Cloud product line for a number of years now. But I just wanted to point out that this is a hot space getting hotter. So it's a large and accelerating market, and you can see some of the analyst feedback here in terms of software as a service and platform as a service adoption. The rates are accelerating. And if you're looking at these polling results now, that many of you are here for just a general overview. So you may or may not be that deep and well steeped in the Informatica Cloud service itself. So we're going to cover that in today's presentation. So the thing to note here is that we're seeing a shift in enterprise adoption of software as a service and public cloud applications and platforms. For a number of years, it was really driven by line of business and as well as even small to medium-sized organizations. While that continues to be an accelerated set of adoption and growth, large organizations are increasingly becoming cloud first. Where, as this next part of the slide indicates, in cases now, over 90% of cloud decisions and operations involve IT, and 66% of software as a service purchase orders are signed by IT. So while for a long time it was sort of outside of IT driven, the pendulum has swung, and IT is very much becoming cloud first. And some interesting data to highlight here from the industry analysts. The point I wanted to highlight here is a couple of the key drivers. A lot of people think, it's all about decreasing costs and maybe the benefits of operational expense versus capital expense. But what's increasingly the case in the survey data that I'm seeing and others here at the Informatica Cloud team are seeing is that a real driver of cloud adoption is actually increased business flexibility. That need to go fast, that need for speed. And that is really a benefit, and that we're live by on this team, where we're coming out with releases. 3 releases a year is our target. And many of you might be looking at this webinar and remembering that we just recently upgraded to our spring release. So that was, pretty decent, and now we're already moving to the summer. So we're on a pretty fast pace of innovation here. And one of the reasons that, that we're making this possible is because of the multi-tenant architecture of Informatica Cloud. All our customers are on the same release of Informatica Cloud, and all of our customers are going to be upgraded to the summer release this weekend, and we'll talk about that. So just to give some of you some background, if you're new to Informatica Cloud, you may know Informatica, you may be running some of our core enterprise products in your organization. I want to just give you a little bit of background on the Informatica Cloud service itself. So early on, we recognized 3 distinct audiences, and really as a result, 3 of requirements for cloud integration. So the first is really where we saw some of the early adoption happening. It wasn't necessarily the centralized IT organization that traditionally manages data integration. We, quite the opposite. Back in 2006, when we launched this business, we actually saw most of the adoption coming from the divisions and the departments, as well as for organizations that didn't necessarily have a lot of involvement or even resources in the IT organization. We built very very focused integration applications for specific use cases we saw the market needing. So there was a demand for an easy way to migrate to cloud apps. There was a demand for an easy way to synchronize your cloud applications with other sources. There was a need for data replication and data quality. So we built a very specific set of integration applications, and been very successful in terms of adoption and customer success. We've been recognized 4 years in a row on the App Exchange by Salesforce.com customers as the #1 data integration solution on the App Exchange. Audience we recognized early on, and the needs and use cases we saw really around cloud integration was really for application integration. It wasn't what many of you on the call may think of when you think of Informatica. Our roots, if you know Informatica, we've been in business for over 15 years, publicly traded company on the NASDAQ, and really, how the company was started was actually in the area of ETL, data warehousing, business intelligence, analytics. That is still, a very strong area of our business. But most of the use cases we saw early on, and we continue to see for cloud integration, was actually more around application integration. The people, that many of you on today's call will always know about connectivity. Can you connect this application to that application? Can you move data in real time, more of a process-centric style of integration between applications? And we're continuing, and this release is a big step forward as well, to deliver increased connectivity for Informatica Cloud. Last, when we talk about these three distinct audiences we recognized early on, was now, I think, a group that have really come around and become, very much evangelists and, really look to find ways to adopt cloud-based applications and platforms as well as cloud integration, which is the Centralized IT Organization. And here, if Ron will talk about this as he goes into demonstration, but Ranasan here has been working with Informatica for a long time, and he would go out and talk to some of our largest customers about how Informatica Cloud could be used in their organizations. They were back with very specific requirements, and the last couple of releases we've been really trying to deliver that kind of functionality to make sure that Informatica Cloud can be rolled out by some of our largest accounts. So features like delegated administration, the ability to have one centralized org of Informatica Cloud, and then be able to spin up sub-orgs to allow some element of self-service for divisions and departments. Features fine-grained access control, so you can control who can access what, when, and how. Important as you think about broader cloud integration requirements. And most important, probably for many of you who might already be using our enterprise products like PowerCenter, is the ability to share mappings between those two environments, whether it's built in the cloud service or built on-premise, to have a seamless interoperability between the two. Those are some of the areas we've been focusing on with Informatica Cloud. And this use case that I'll mention is one we're seeing increasingly with some of our larger organizations. We're truly setting up a center of excellence and delivering this cloud application layer and taking advantage of the kinds of things you're going to see in today's demonstration from Ron that Informatica Cloud uniquely provides. Just to back up and give you kind of a quick overview before we hand it over to dive into the new features of the summer release, our focus continues to be on really these three areas of laying out connectivity, and we laid this out way back in 2006, and we like to talk about that press release that quote our CEO here, Sohaib Abbasi. So cloud connectivity is increased, and continues to be very, very important. During very focused, purpose-built cloud integration applications, which, as you can see here on the chart, we've continued to do. We will continue to do so as we bring more of the Informatica products to this model. And then finally evolving into a cloud integration platform, which is really a key shift and a key thing that we're focusing on for this release and the coming releases of Informatica Cloud. Some of you are following this market pretty closely. Gartner and other industry analysts are starting to talk about this concept of integration platform as a service. And we're also evolving our cloud offering to become truly a integration platform as a service. So I just want to highlight this concept of iPaaS that Gartner and again other industry analyst firms are starting to talk much more about, recognizing that if you're moving to software as a service apps or adopting cloud platforms, the integration layer is critical. It is a hybrid world, and it's important that you have the ability to connect not only between the clouds, but connect your cloud applications with your existing on-premise systems as well as social sources. So and tease up a shift that you're going to see from us as we, very similar to many of you who are running Salesforce.com, you saw Salesforce go through this evolution as well, from a CRM apps company to Force.com, and being able to execute on both fronts, deliver more applications as well as evolving the platform. So our cloud integration application family, most recently we introduced a contact validation service, and we're going to continue, as I said, delivering new integration applications. But what we're going to talk about for the rest of the day is what it means to be an integration platform as a service, and what are some new features that we're introducing with our upgrade to the summer release this weekend. And what Ron's going to focus on is really two pillars of this release. The first is cloud integration templates, which is a very interesting concept, and I think many of you are immediately going to see benefit by accelerating your projects and benefiting from the reusability of the template concept. Second is continuing to deliver out more and more connectivity to new cloud applications and platforms. So let's talk quickly about cloud integration templates. The first part to know for when it comes to cloud integration templates is we are introducing a new designer tool that we made available through the Informatica Cloud Community site to allow you to graphically build wizard-driven integration applications. And you're going to see this in the demonstration, so I won't spend too much time talking about it here. But the first part of a template is the ability to build something that's custom to meet your specific requirements, whether you're an end-user customer of Informatica Cloud or a partner of Informatica Cloud is embedding our collaboration into your application or platform. The part of templates is the configurability of these templates, being able to not only develop something that's customized, but also to be able to consume and configure that to your specific requirements. And you'll see Ron's demonstration. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Ron, to walk through these three steps of building, publishing, and I'm going to highlight some of the new templates that we're going to be making available in the Informatica Cloud Marketplace.
Great, Darren. Now, just to put some context around what I'll be demoing. So, again, I think it goes back to what Darren was talking about with the way that Salesforce evolved. When you look at these demos, think about the same sort of parallels that you saw with Salesforce, right? So with Salesforce, they had the support cloud, the sales cloud, and so forth. What Force.com allowed their partners and their customers to do was create their own specific custom cloud applications. With Informatica Cloud and our platform, the concept applies. We already have the data organization capability. We've got our data replication, contact validation service, and so forth. Those are your pre-built integration applications that we deliver. But now the platform, and specifically here with the cloud integration templates, it will allow you as our customers or our partners to build your own custom integration services that you publish to Informatica Cloud. So I'll be demonstrating that now, and there are three things that I'll show. It's really, the first two steps are what an integration developer would do. Right? This is a partner, or if you're in the Centralized IT Organization using Informatica Cloud, this is something that you'll be able to do, where you would build the actual custom integration service, and then publish that to Informatica Cloud. And then step three is the consumption piece. So for a different user, that's the actual end user, that's going to go off and then use those new services that were just built. All right, so I'll repeatedly talk about what step I'm in so that you can follow what's going on here. And we'll start the demo off here in the new design tool we've got. So we've got our template designer that's currently open. And you'll notice is that you see an interface that looks quite an Informatica Cloud. Right? This looks more like a traditional integration service that you might be used to, where you have essentially looks like a mapping. You see area here for all sorts of different complex transformations that are available to you as a developer to use as you're building out a template. Now, this integration template I've currently got up on the screen is to deal with a very common scenario that many people that are familiar with just doing integration between applications have to encounter on a daily basis. What this particular template does is it will convert date formats from one format to another. And you might, well, what's the big deal of that? Well, moving systems from, let's say, if you're moving a bunch of data from one app, maybe it's a mainframe-based app or a legacy application, and you're moving it into a new cloud-based application, just to move data over, you need to convert the dates, all the dates, from one format to the other just to get the data in. You may have one object that has 6 date fields, and you can take care of each of those manually. Then you might have another object or a table that has 100 date fields. And the typical way that people would solve that problem in the past is you'd have to individually be doing date conversion formulas on each one. It's relatively straightforward to do, but very tedious. What this template allows you to do is to do that in a very automated way, through a simple interface that anybody could be able to do that. I've got my template open. The first thing I notice is that my source and target names are surrounded by dollar signs. That means that we have created a set of parameters. So what we're building here are not just mappings. We've got a parameterized mapping. So anybody that consumes this template can point this to any source or target that they want to connect to with Informatica Cloud. Not fixed for 2 very specific applications. Anything you want to connect to, you have the ability to parameterize it. If we drill into our expression, here is where we see where we're going through, and we are checking each individual port or field one. So again, if one data source has 6 date fields, we'll find those 6 fields. If another data source has 100 date fields, we'll be checking each one and checking to see if it's a date. If it is a date, then we've parameterized the date format and the date format. So now what? Well, the answer is not the traditional way of doing this. And the traditional way of doing this is you say, hey, anybody that needs to do date conversions, here's my mapping, and here's how you change the mapping. That's not what we're doing with Informatica Cloud and the new platform. Instead, what we will have the ability to do as the developer of that template is be able to go into Informatica Cloud and publish your template. And publish a template, what you'll see is this. You upload the template into Informatica Cloud, and all you see, or all that's really going to be exposed, are the parameters. You see, the source and targets are parameters, the from and to dates are parameters. And you will be prompting your end user to specify their source, their target, their from, and their to date format. So you can change the label so you got a more user-friendly look and feel for people that need to consume this. All sorts of capabilities here around restricting what's done. You can say, okay, the source can only be of certain types, whether editable or whether it's required. Again, these are all options that are laid out to you. Actual formats or parameters that we've got out there, there's also capabilities here as well where you can configure what the end user is going to see when they consume this. So you create a parameterized mapping as a developer, and publishing the mechanism on how people are going to see this when they consume it. So we published it, we built it, we published it. Now I'm switching roles, and I'm now just somebody in the organization that I need to do this date conversion. So as an end user, I go to the Data Services tab, and going to one of our pre-built services, synchronization, replication, and so forth, I would go to my custom integration section. And I will go and hit the button, And what you see is classic Informatica Cloud. Simple to use, wizard-driven approach to consume that template. All right, so I'm going to create my date conversion demo, and I simply go off now and select the template that was just published. So if you have multiple templates that have been published, you have your choice as an end user, and I'm just going to use my date format conversion. Move on to step 2. The developer, I've gone off and asked users to pick their own source. So we source connection here. And the end user can pick any source that they want. I'm just going to choose from my order file, and it's got some date formats. And I'm going to convert it and write all the data into this target. And I'll just put this into my destination. Here's a key step. Right? Instead of just having a copy of the mapping and people are changing that expression-looking thing, they don't get this. What's from format and what's my to format? Right? So done here is I've created a utility using my rich design environment and able to publish this so that anybody in the organization, whether they have IT skills or not, could be able to consume this. Okay, so very easy to create reusable objects. You have a high level of standardization within the organization, yet you're still maintaining the ability for self-service and configuration. All right, so let's show another example. Let's go off and create a integration task and perform an aggregation. So this is another utility that we've already published, or another template that we've published. What it provides is insert capabilities that any end user, whether they know SQL, don't know SQL, whether the source is whatever source, whatever target, you can perform some matching and filtering. All right, in step 2, the user can pick any source they have access to. They can write the results of this aggregation to a target. And this to my summary. I see something a little bit more complex than what I just showed. It's not just screens where you can type in stuff. You can select my group by field. You can go off and actually have a mapping screen. So my summary is going to be based off of order total, and it's going to be order total. Right? Key here is you've got consistency across the organization. Everybody's going to be doing these in the same exact way, yet you have the ability to have a whole bunch of configuration, personalization and configuration based off of the end user's experience, yet you have something that's common and attainable across the organization. I'm sure some of you are like thinking about this now and going, wow, this is pretty cool. Just a couple of ideas of things that you'll be seeing from us. You can imagine things like an opportunity to order scenario between ERP or a CRM and an ERP system, where you could have basic logic built in to our templates, and whether it's ourselves or our partners delivering the kind of templates, publishing them out to our marketplace, or whether it's an internal organization, IT organization that has a very specific way that they want to allow for these iterations to happen, yet let end users have the flexibility to make changes. There are all sorts of things that you can do. And I think one of the cool things about this is being a true platform. I'm quite curious to see what people are going to build. I don't think we can guess at what people are going to build because there's so much flexibility in what the platform provides. All right, show one more example. This is for some of the partners that are on the call. And even as an end user, I think you're going to start seeing more of these things in the future.
Before you jump to that, there's a question, Ron, about can we group by on more than one field?
You can. This particular template that I created was a simple example, but yes, you could definitely do that. There's all sorts of flexibility that you have in when you're building a template. And if anybody out there wants to get into deeper dive around the capabilities or what can be done in the template, what can be parameterized, then reach out to us and we can have those discussions. So example, this is something that's a little bit more complex. And I've got source target, but I've got more stuff going on here in the middle. And what I'm showing here is a initial prototype that we worked with a partner of ours, Exactly. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Exactly, they are a cloud-based compensation management company. One of their key offerings that they provide, it's called Exactly Express, is geared towards the small, medium-sized part of the market, and basically perform reports, dashboards, metrics around the productivity of sales reps. Really, commission calculations, how people are doing year to date.
Ron, there's some people watching very closely what you're showing on your screen. So what is the VSD? Is it Visio?
Yes. So the current design environment is a plugin built on top of Visio. So it's very simple, easy to use. That's what you get as part of the download if you sign up for a developer account, is you get the plugin so that you see these objects here on the left.
And actually, I'll share some resources, but if you're online right now, you can go to informaticacloud.com/devcomm, DEVCOMM, and you can see the new developer community that Ashwin has launched as of our marketing announcement last week as well.
Great. So back to this template example. Again, what Exactly provides is a cloud-based compensation management. And in order to create the reports and metrics and all those things that their end users need, they need order data. And what we worked on with them is providing some pre-built integration with an application. In this case, it's QuickBooks. Right? So how do you pre-build QuickBooks integration with Exactly? So to do that, we actually prototyped this particular template. Here, we've got the QuickBooks object that's defined on the left, with the Exactly object on the right. We've got a set of formatting rules that apply for every customer that's grabbing from QuickBooks. So it's something that is not going to be parameterized. Every customer gets the thing automatically. There's some duplicate checks that happen automatically. The one that we worked on that we wanted to expose was user condition. Some may only want to pull over invoices created this year for a certain product line, for a certain geography. Every customer is going to be different. So that we're providing as a parameter in this particular template. All right, so that we publish that first to Informatica Cloud, and here you see the parameters for source and target connection details, and see the filter. And what you're going to see is actually in a case of embedding the template in an application's user interface. So he's actually going to the Exactly Express product. Here we see the current wizards that they currently have for doing data import. And worked on our prototype was to actually now have some built integration with QuickBooks. So you use the QuickBooks radio button. You see the ability for the end user to specify a filter, and this is all done not in Informatica Cloud, but in the end user application itself. And the end user for Exactly would simply go off and hit the import data button. At this point, it's actually working with Informatica Cloud with the template.
So this is really, again, for more companies that want to embed Informatica Cloud into their app and platform, and this is calling out to the REST API that's underneath. So from Exactly end user perspective, you just see a couple of parameters, very much a constrained user experience, because that's what Exactly wants.
That's exactly right. Yes, Darren. Nice. So from a development standpoint, even if you're not an ISV, I think it should open up your ideas around you can do this on an intranet site. You don't have to point people directly to Informatica Cloud if you don't want to. Of our partners, whether they're SI partners or ISV partners, I think it's pretty obvious what the capabilities are here. And as an end user, I think your benefits are going to be that in a year or 2 years, integration is just going to start appearing in cloud applications, and it's going to just help solve the integration problem much more easily for you going forward.
Great. We're going to just cover off a few things that you need to know about templates before we dive into the next demonstration from the summer release. But I'll take a minute to introduce Naresh to some of you who he's been doing some of these questions in the background. Naresh, you really kind of thought of templates early on. You've been working with the Power Center product line for a long time. Anything that you'd like to say about what people should know about templates or other points that you've been getting asked about in the Q&A?
So yeah, there's some interesting questions in the Q&A. As Ivan has indicated, templates about Informatica Cloud now take advantage of more capabilities that's in our on-premise product, which is Power Center. So there are more transformations that you can use in the context of cloud. And also there are some questions related to combining the different transformations, and that is possible as well in the context of templates.
So got some, long time, Informatica talent here that we've been putting at solving this problem, and really creating a high level of abstraction and making it very easy for our Informatica Cloud customers to consume and run and configure templates. So you're seeing on the screen now the example of some of the kinds of things that Naresh and his team are building out that will be available in the marketplace. The goal is to have some of these up there next week, and Ashwin is also putting many of these on the new developer community. So we're also going to make the toolkit available for you to start to build things, which we expect our partners in particular to do, but also customers. So these are just some of the examples we wanted to highlight. I think really the initial benefit you're going to see from templates is for really accelerating implementation time and realizing that there's these repeatable patterns and processes that you can just find and jumpstart, just like you're doing today when you roll out Salesforce. You play cases, go to AppExchange and download a package of dashboards as opposed to creating them yourself. So that's one of the initial benefits we expect to see with templates. Now, in who gets these and what how we're rolling this out from a packaging perspective. So templates as of Monday after the release will be available for you if you have Informatica Cloud Basic and above. So Base, Standard, Enterprise, and Platform Edition will have the ability to consume templates. In Basic, you can consume up to 10, instead up to 20, and if you have our Enterprise Edition, it's an unlimited consumption model. So, and these will be on the marketplace. And I want to highlight this resource, informaticacloud.com/devcom, where you go and learn more about templates, the connector toolkit, some of our AIs, all that information. We're working on building up that developer community on our community site. A couple of questions here, so we'll come in as we switch, but I'm going to switch gears now, Ron, and let's talk about the connector toolkit, and we'll answer some of these questions as we go through. So here, we need to mention earlier, the primary use case we're seeing that you're all focusing on primarily for Informatica Cloud is the application integration requirement. And we've seen as this, software as a service apps have proliferated, there's more apps out there with web services APIs. There's this long tail of cloud applications that are coming online. And we're not going to be able to deliver, native connectivity each time a new app is introduced. What instead we want to do is empower you and our partners to build the connectivity you need to get started with the Informatica Cloud. And so another part of our management team and development team is focusing on not just the template level platform, but the connectivity level. And we've introduced a connector toolkit with a Java-based connector API that really be able to recognize very quickly the key methods of a web services API and help you quickly create a connector for that app. So I'll hand it over to you, Ron, to talk about the connector toolkit and how people can get started with that as well.
Yeah, great. So what I'll share really quickly, Darren, is I'll go in and show how you would actually use some of those connectors that are being built right now inside of Informatica Cloud, and jump over to the marketplace so you can see some of the things that are out there as well.
But actually, there are some questions that are specific to Informatica Cloud packaging and pricing. You can either contact your account manager, or if you go to informaticacloud.com, on the home page you'll see an additions button. You can go look at that right there, and that'll all be updated with the new template information as of Monday.
Great.
So the presenter, Ron, so you can share your desktop.
So before I go in and show that, the connector toolkit is really designed for those cases that we're seeing right now. You know, we're having people ask us to connect to applications that didn't exist 2 years ago, or these are apps that no one has ever heard of except for the customers. So this really, that the whole concept of the long tail really does apply with the toolkit. We've got one example where we've got a great partner called Silverline that's helping a customer connect to something called RapNet, which is there's an online service to get weekly diamond prices. Okay, so there's some really cool things. Again, that's what's cool about a platform, is people will do things that you just don't expect. So, desktop. And what you'll see with Informatica Cloud, and you'll see this today if you log in, and this is our pre-release site. But go to the Administration tab and go to Connectors. See a list of some of the connectors that have already been published. So from a demo standpoint, there really isn't anything to show around the development of them. An integration developer will go off, build the connectors using the toolkit. But end user, what you see is the Informatica Cloud user interface. You would go in here, should enable a connector, and then at that point you're simply going off and building connections like you already do with Informatica Cloud, and you already just go off and start using the data synchronization service with those connection types as either a source and as a target. So here really is just that, the ability now to get access to more connectors through what we will be building, and also what our partners will be building and publishing to Informatica Cloud and to the marketplace. So if we go off now into the marketplace, that is the place. Again, it's very similar to what Salesforce is doing with the App Exchange. Do search and see the types of things that you want to have. You know, if you want to connect to something, take a look in the marketplace, see if there's something that's there. If it isn't there, again, if it's one of those applications that you may only be, maybe somewhat obscure, you always have the ability to create your own connector using the toolkit. Marketplace, it'll be all of the connectors, as what Darren mentioned. We'll be publishing our templates here as well.
There's some questions coming in. Let's take a couple while we go back to some of the details. And if you can just make me presenter, we'll hit a couple of those questions. All right. So back on here. I'm going to also talk about a few very important specific details on the upgrade. But let's just look at a few questions and see if there's ones we can answer in real time. So there's some questions about the security of templates. Naresh, do you want to talk about that?
So we do have fine-grained access control to the template. So first, it's you have to have the necessary privileges to be able to create and publish templates to the cloud. And also from an end-user perspective who can access templates, there are permissions that they would need to be assigned to access any specific template.
Great. And there's another question about replication. There's just been a couple of questions that have come in around data replication. One is around, will it be supported with the new connectors?
Yeah, it's a great question. At this point, the answer is it just works with data synchronization service, but replication is being planned out for one of the future releases, hopefully here pretty shortly, where new connectors will all have replication capabilities made available.
So the data replication service, Ron didn't really show in his demo, but that's available to standard and above customers. many of you are using the replication to do some pretty heavy lifting, moving data out of cloud applications like Salesforce into your data warehousing environment or simply for backup purposes. So that is the data replication service. So let's talk about the price and where that's at, and then some specific details on the upgrade. Ron, can you take us through this slide?
Yeah. So we're not going to have time to go through all the details on what's coming up in the new release here on this call, but there is a pre-release webinar that we did 2 weeks ago that is available for viewing. If you go to informaticacloud.com, you'll find it there, which goes through some of these in detail. But a few highlights. Again, we've got some native NetSuite capabilities, so you can use that with our data synchronization service. Again, there's some fairly detailed things here, but one thing I do want to point out for anybody that's using the REST APIs that Informatica Cloud offers, please have a look at that webinar. We're making some changes to some of the ways that we're storing ID values, so make sure that if you're using it, that you're up to date with the changes to the API. And as part of the reason why we're doing those API changes is actually because of this last point on this slide, multi-pod functionality. This is a very significant change and enhancement to Informatica Cloud. So for us internally, we're excited about this release because of both the platform and this capability around multi-pod. Multi-pod is a concept that really Salesforce has been taking forward for the last few years, where we have built out and have scaled by using this concept of multi-pod. We have essentially multiple instances of Salesforce running across different servers that are located across different geographies, and again, have the ability to scale by just simply adding more pods. This particular release is allowing us to have a multi-pod environment now, so that you can be assured that going forward, just in the same way that Salesforce was able to scale out, starting this release, we'll be able to scale out in the same way. And in order to do that, we've had to do things like change our IDs and our API calls, because we're going to start having ID values that are very similar to Salesforce. They've got the 18 numeric characters so that they can maintain uniqueness across all pods. We're essentially having to do the same thing here so that we can scale going forward, and we're not going to hit any kind of strange ID limitations. So those are some of the reasons for those changes.
Yes, and a couple of people asked about the recording. We will make this. And the reason why we're showing trust.salesforce.com is to show the concept of pods. If you go to trust.informaticacloud.com, you'll see our information about the release. That will evolve to be a pod type of framework where people that are running on certain, what they call pods like A1 and A2 will have the same kind of concept with Informatica Cloud.
That's right.
So just to wrap up, we wanted to make sure we point you to a few key resources. First and foremost, we want to highlight that we really are evolving here to the model of purpose-built cloud integration applications. So we'll continue to deliver new wizards, new apps. Again, most recently we introduced the contact validation service, and they're looking to run multiple applications, multiple integration applications that's available to organizations that are running Informatica Cloud Standard or above. So we're going to continue to deliver those, but see here we're really evolving to, and focusing on the underlying components to make sure we can deliver a truly hybrid cloud integration platform, or the market is now starting to refer to as an integration platform as a service. And you can see the architecture diagram and some of the specific components at informaticacloud.com/platform. So to specifically speak to those of you who are in the midst of planning for the upgrade this weekend, we want to highlight the details of the upgrade are available on our community site, where we link to some of the specific resources around object IDs, as well as the pre-release. We also have the status update at trust.informaticacloud.com. I encourage you to bookmark that site and to subscribe to the RSS feed for our Trust site. We are planning for a longer maintenance window than usual with this upgrade due to this fundamental architectural upgrade. We're moving to this multi-pod framework. So do plan for more downtime than you would otherwise be planning for an upgrade. We're estimating the upgrade this weekend could take up to 9 hours. We're hoping to come in under that, but we want to make sure you're planning accordingly. So just again, to wrap up, you can go and see some demos and some more details in the summer release at informaticacloud.com. And Ron and I are available to you. Also, again, I'd like to thank Krupa, who's been answering some questions, and Naresh, who really has been spearheading this shift to a platform specifically around the cloud integration template. For those of you who are just joining today to get an overview for the first time of Informatica Cloud, I would encourage you to go and try it for yourself. So go to informaticacloud.com. You see that button on the sort of middle left, which is a free trial. You get started. You can see the details on the different editions and connectivity all available to you on our website. So I'd like to thank you all for joining. We had a tremendous participation today, and we're very excited about the summer release. So stay tuned for more details and check out some of these resources. And the update does start at 7 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, August 11th, and all customers will be running the same version as of Sunday. So thank you, and we look forward to working with you. And if you have any follow-up questions, we will be sharing the slides and the recording.
Again, for joining us today. This concludes today's web conference. You may now disconnect.